and gentlemen, to another Coventry University debate. Today we're going to talk about Turkey's ascension to the European Union. Turkey in 1987 first did their application to join, and then in 2005 they were accepted, but the accession negotiations started and they had to fill the additional protocol in order for them to join. This additional protocol is in line with the conditions for a country to join the EU. So basically what they need to have is that they need to guarantee democracy, rule of law, and human rights. Also, they need to have a functioning and strong economy so they can compete with other European markets. And finally, they need to be able to fulfill the conditions for a country to be part of the EU. The topics we're going to talk about today are geography, history, culture, and religion, population, economics, politics, and security. On this side, you have Alessandro and William, which they're against Turkey's accession.
Hello.
Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
And then on this side, you have Beatrice and Alex, which they are pro-Turkey's accession. So let's start the debate.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so let's start with geography, and you guys are against, you can start.
Yes, regarding the geographical elements, it's important to mention that 97% of the Turkish territory is located in Asia, and therefore Turkey doesn't meet the geographical requirements to join the EU.
I agree with you, but still Turkey has 3% of its territory in Europe and is a neighboring country of the EU. So
that is true, but 3% is not a very big number, I would say. And on top of that, if the European Union would let Turkey join, this would be an unfair treatment to other countries that are situated in a similar geographic location. Therefore, countries from Cape Verde all the way to Kazakhstan would be eligible to join if you look at it from the geographic perspective.
Yeah, but there are actually no regulations to state the fact that a country needs to be 100% placed in Europe in order to be an EU member. If you take Cyprus, for example, half of the island is an EU member, even if geographically speaking it's closer to Asia than it is to the EU.
Okay, so let's move on to the next topic, which is history, culture, and religion. And you guys are pro, you can start.
if you speak about religion, European culture does not need to be really homogeneous. We already have a lot of minorities and different religion, and it wouldn't be a problem.
I would say I think we can definitely agree with the importance of diversity within Europe. However, you have to keep in mind that these countries within the European Union share a completely different history compared to Turkey. On top of that, there is a 75% of the EU population which describe themselves as Christians, compared to Turkey being a country dominated by Muslims. Therefore, this would result in a very high likelihood of possible collisions with the different cultures, so it would be too big of a shock if Turkey would join right away and they would blend in.
I agree with what you said, but what you see happening today is that a lot of countries already integrate Muslims into their own culture, and both sides are adapting.
Yes, but as William said, if we have to relate Turkey to a continent, then we relate it to Asia over Europe, because it shares, as he said, history, culture with Asian countries, not with the European ones. And we have to keep in mind that one of the main purposes of Europe is to create a unified culture, and it would be too different to incorporate the Turkish one with the Europeans.
Okay, but as you can see on this image about the second most represented nationality in EU countries, Turkey is highly present in Holland, Germany, Austria, Denmark, and Bulgaria already, so it wouldn't be too much of a shock of culture.
Let's move on then to the next topic, which is population. And you guys are against, you can start.
So, probably all of you know that Turkey has a very large population. They count up to 80 million people these days. Therefore, this could possibly result in too much of a dominance within the European Council.
I can see your argument there, but the equivalent weight of Turkey in the EU Council wouldn't be a problem as long as the EU is taking decision in a democratic way. And adding to that, if they join EU, they would have only the seats that belongs to them in the EU Council.
I would like to add the fact that as Turkey has many skilled people, this could benefit the EU in that they can bring a fresh influx of skilled and well-educated employees to the EU.
That's definitely true, but if you look at the possible negative side of that, there could be a brain drain, therefore, which would mean that all of the school people in Turkey, or a very large majority of them, would move to the EU, leaving Turkey behind with a lot of lack of schooled and educated people.
And to go back to your point, it's important to mention that the European Union is already facing an immigration crisis. And therefore, if Turkey joins the EU, Europe should face another immigration crisis. And we have to keep in mind that immigrants that move to Europe to find a job, often they result unemployed. An example is the United Kingdom, where one immigrant out of 5 is unemployed.
So thank you everyone for watching us from now. We have seen some really strong points from both sides. We're now going to take a quick break for advertisement and we'll be back shortly. Stay with us.
Sunshine curtains, oh you'll be rocked. Sunshine curtains, oh you'll be rocked. It's healthy and it's easy and they'll make it while you wait. You love it. Sunshine curtains, oh you'll be rocked.
Welcome back everyone. I hope you enjoyed our advertisements. Now we're going to continue with the discussion and we'll start with economics. And you guys that are pro can start.
Okay, so when you look at economics, what you see is that Turkey has had positive GDP growth ever since 2001. And Turkey is in fact the 5th largest trading partner with the EU in terms of they produce agricultural products, textiles, motor vehicles, ships. And I think this can benefit the EU business-wise. And if you look at the geographic position of Turkey, Turkey can be like a trade bridge to Asia and facilitate the free trade from EU to countries like South Korea, Japan, United Arab Emirates, and Iran.
Yes, you are right about that, but you have to keep in mind that the GDP per capita of Turkey is less than the half of the average of the EU countries, which is now today is around 13,000 euros per year. And also to comment on your trade bridge with Asia, it will actually benefit more Asian countries than European ones, since Asian countries will be able to export more to Europe, taking advantage of their competitive prices that they can offer.
In addition to what my colleague just said, the EU would have to subsidize the Turkish government a lot, as their GDP is not to the similar level of other EU countries right now, so this would cost the European Union a lot of money. On top of that, regarding the trading perspective, well, both Turkey and the European Union already have a trading agreement, which is called the Customs Union, and both parties already are benefiting a lot, and both markets have been growing a lot from this, so just joining the EU would not really bring any more benefits, because it would be more beneficial to improve on the trading agreement compared to Turkey just joining the European Union.
Okay, I agree with your point, but there is another pro-argument of Turkey joining the EU, is that it would reduce the dependence of the EU over Russia and about fossil energy, as new pipeline will be running through Turkey and will give another fossil energy supplier to the EU.
Okay, listening to that, let's move on to the next topic, which is political. And you guys there again, you can start.
Yes, about politics, there are actually many things to say. I will start with the coup attempt in 2016, which makes Turkey unstable under a political point of view, and actually makes Turkish politics more similar to a dictatorship than a democracy. Also, the many reports about Turkey show are filled with torture, free speech violation, denial of minority rights, unfair trials, failure to protect women, no human rights, no freedom of speech, and no freedom of religion.
In order to clarify what my colleague just said, an example of this would be the gender inequality in Turkey. They were placed 130th out of 144 countries in the World Gender Inequality List by the WEF. Also, there's no freedom of religion. On top of that, there's the Armenian genocide, which Turkey is still refusing to recognize. And not to speak about the Cyprus conflict that is still going on. All of these that I just mentioned are in violation with the standards of the European Union in order for a country to be eligible to join. So would you really like a country like Turkey to join the European Union?
Well, we agree that all these political issues are present, but I would say that being offered the chance to become a EU member can offer an incentive to Turkey to be fully democratic and solve its political issues.
And there would be another advantage for Turkey joining the EU, that it would prevent conflicts with the EU and Turkey, and it would give the EU a powerful mediator in the Middle East. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Let's move on then to the next topic, which is security. And you guys, you can start.
Well, as you know, security-wise, the benefit that Turkey can bring to the EU is its army, because Turkey has the second largest NATO army, and this can help fight terrorism.
Yes, but you have to consider also that if Turkey joins the EU, then it could represent a passageway for terrorists and refugees to come to Europe.
Right, but if Turkey joins the EU would have some control over how Turkey managed the refugee crisis and the terrorism.
And to add to that, we're talking that Turkey would be part of the EU and not of the Schengen Agreement, so they would still maintain their border control.
Alright, something else you would have to keep in mind is that there are a lot of internal threats within Turkey as well, from both ISIS terrorists and extremist Kurds. So security-wise, this could be a problem for the EU. As Alessandro just said, it could be a passageway for them to enter the EU much more easily. And therefore, this is something that we should definitely pay attention to.
Okay. Thank you everyone for your opinions. Revising all that you have said in terms of politics, economics, securities, geography, and everything else. We can agree that Turkey joining the EU would bring cultural diversity to the European Union, which would be beneficial for us. And also the trade with Asia is a strong point for the economic point of view. And further to that, Europe could help Turkey solve their issues. So for example, they could help with the human rights issue, but they could also help fight terrorism, which would great benefit Europe. But on the other hand, you have to think when analyzing the economic or overall the criteria for joining the European Union, that Turkey is not that yet. So they don't meet the criteria respecting politics, so they have this political instability, they are violating human rights, which is hugely conflicting with what Europe believes. But also their economy is still growing, but they are growing at a slower pace each time. So the question is, in the long term, would Turkey be able to compete with European markets? And you have to think that since 2005, the accession negotiations have already started, but since then they have not been able to progress much towards the European Union. So you can say that Turkey is not ready to join the European Union yet. Thank you everyone for watching this. Thank you for your opinions and have a nice day.